A horror movie for the social media age? Let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone. It is I. The Dumbledore's door is always open. Gandalf without the gray or the white, because I'm all black. Jordan LaForge captaining this enterprise, and Professor Flex Savior of the Flexmen. I am Left Eye Ego. And I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you guys so much, and special shout out to Zax. I'm over 200 subscribers. Again, I was thrilled when I had 5 subscribers, to tell you the truth, and it's only gone up from there. I was, pretty much ecstatic at 100, and I'm darn near losing my mind at 200. So I just wanted to stop and say thank you guys so much for at least subscribing, watching the content, leaving comments, and sharing. I really appreciate it. Also, doubly hyped because check out what was in my mailbox before 5 o'clock today on a Wednesday. Guys, Rippaverse Volume 2 of ISOM is in. So hopefully at some point I'll be able to do an unboxing and a summary of the story once I read it. But I am really excited to get my hands on this. So, I had to rock the Yaira shirt. But getting back to the actual topic of the stream or the upload today is a movie called Talk to Me. And to go back, I have always loved horror films. I told everyone that has been on streams or has listened to me that I was homeschooled about to the time of 13, 14. There were a lot of movies that we couldn't watch. Once I got to high school and I was around 17 or 18, parents were like, whatever, we've shown you enough at this point of how to live so you can watch what you want. So me and my three younger brothers, we'd always watch the slasher horror movies, the Who Did It, either Prom Night or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all of those. Once I lived on my own, I'm not gonna lie, I stopped watching them because I couldn't sleep at night. The last horror movie I tried watching by myself was Paranormal Activity in 2009, 2010. And I will not lie to you, I slept with the full light, not a night light. The full light was on for 3.5 weeks. So I stopped watching them. After Shura and I got together, I'm like, yo, now it's time to start watching those scary movies again. So the genre we really love is the supernatural horror movies, usually the ones where the priest has to go in and do this special exorcism to get out this special demon, or there is a vengeful spirit that's trying to kill everyone in some house. You got to figure out what the real reason is before it's too late. So that's why we generally loved watching horror movies, and that is what takes us to Talk to Me. So Shiro's cousin Donovan had told us about it, and was very intrigued by it, and we went to go see it this past. What was it? We saw this on a Friday night. That's how excited I was about this movie. I saw this movie on a Friday night after 8:30. This movie started at 10:30, and I was still awake after I saw it, which meant, hey, it's got to be good, right? So essentially, I'm going to be giving a kind of a synopsis of the movie, as well as going over our ego statistics. You guys know we don't do 1, 2, 5 stars. We do 1, 2, 5 egos because we got it like that. After I give the synopsis, we will be grading the eco statistics in terms of the casting, the plot, the pacing, and kind of that scare factor. So, with that, let's get right into it. So, I'm going to give you guys a quick synopsis that I can read off to you guys if you want to go ahead and check it out later as well. So, the synopsis for Talk to Me is when a group of friends discover how to conjure spirits using an embalmed hand, they become hooked on the new thrill. And so one of them goes too far and unleashes terrifying supernatural forces. As far as the way that I would describe this, I'm trying to figure out what I had on here when I wrote it down. Uh, Essentially, it was kind of like a bunch of teenagers seeking a thrill, And usually they'll try to show teenagers seeking the thrill through either drugs, alcohol, promiscuity, whatever. But so for this movie, these kids are seeking this thrill by relying on the supernatural, which I thought was a pretty cool concept, right? And so at that point, they wind up trying to conjure spirits in order to affect a kind of high of sorts. And so the rules, and they'll in the if you watch the preview, they tell you kind of what the rules were. The rules were you light a candle, you hold the mannequin's hand, and you say, "Talk to me." Then you're supposed to see something on the other side. Now the thing is, once you say that, you also have to tell whatever you're seeing, "I welcome you in." Now I'm not gonna lie, just from the previews, I was like, my Negro sense is tingling, and they're saying this.
No, 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 hell no.
White people shit, man, I tell you.
Right? But once you let the entity in, you're supposed to go no longer than 90 seconds, and then you release your grip on the mannequin hand, blow out the candle, no harm, no foul. And these are the actual rules for playing the game Talk to Me. And so the thing is that when they actually do the Talk to Me section, no one else on the other side knows what you're seeing as you have held the mannequin hand. So all it looks like is to you is that your pupils get exceptionally dilated until they're almost all blacked out, and you start acting really strange. And so they wind up recording all these interactions on their cell phone. So it's kind of like this thing where they try to make it a viral moment by playing the Talk to Me game. And so what made it interesting was, hey, you're trying to open the door between the living and other entities. What happens if you forget to close the door? And that's kind of where the movie takes off from there. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This movie is actually Australian, so even with me being half blind and having hearing loss, I still needed closed captioning to read 95% of this movie because I could not track the accent. All right. Oh, also, I should. This is mainly for Floral Under a Rock and the rest of the people that are over there. I did go to customer service and requested half off because of being half blind and not being able to hear so well. Not gonna lie, she froze for a good 2 seconds and then immediately started giving me a nervous laughter. And I was like, you know what? I'll have to back off. I'll try it again next time for another movie. But it was just, it works. I will say I didn't get the discount, but it elicited the reaction that I wanted. So, floor on the rest of the crew, that's for you guys. Um, so, as far as the casting, I'm just going to take you through some of the main actors and actresses in this. It was headed up by Sophia Wilde, who played Mia. She was one of the main characters in the movie. There was also, I believe her name was Alexandra Jensen, who played her best friend Jade. I think Joe Bird played Jade's younger brother Riley. We had Otis Danji, who played Jade, the best friend. He played her boyfriend in the movie. We also had Zoe Tarakis, who played Haley, which was kind of the tuft, I guess you could say, or the party thrower, as well as Chris Alacio, who played Josh, who was the running mate with Zoe. And so those are pretty much the main characters that are in this movie. And so off the top, I would give the general casting a 3.5 egos, right? Um, Mainly because the actors were relatively unknown, but it would usually give me about I would usually give about 2 to 2.5 egos just for being relatively unknown in this kind of horror movie. But what took them from about a 2 or 2.5 to a 3.5 was the actual acting chops that they displayed. So when they would actually turns inviting in whoever they saw on the other side of that mannequin hand, they actually would act as if the person that they were talking to had embodied them. So they would do all of these, make all these weird noises, talking these weird accents, or even just shake, shudder, roll on the ground. It was actually really good seeing them act these things out and show that I am going to be believable portraying someone else, even though you're looking directly at me. So they showed some really good acting chops. I believe, especially once it got to the character Mia or Sophia Wilde, when she would go on, I guess, her experience, her high with inviting in the entity. She did really great because she did 3 or 4 different takes with different people that or entities that inhabited her, and so each one was very much believable and was really good to see from younger actors and actresses instead of just seeing your general reactions that you would see with more seasoned actors and actresses. They did a it was very seamless from them going from just the character they portrayed to whatever entity they let in. All right. So, next up, I've got the plot. I'm going to give the plot, basically from I gave you guys from the synopsis and from what I saw that I can't tell you about. I'm going to give it a 4. It was that kind of what lies just beyond the veil and what happens if that veil is either ripped or the door is left open. You would see this kind of in the styling of the Conjuring movies or Flatliners from 1990. Flatliners was about a bunch of doctors that would induce cardiac arrest so that they could be clinically dead for several minutes, come back by being revived, and tell everyone else what they saw on the other end. But in doing so, something comes back with them when they do. So it was in the vein of those 2 movies that this Talk to Me reminded me the most about. And so the main difference was, and this is actually a really big difference, it was almost geared towards Zennials, the straight up teenagers that are very involved and know how to use social media. And so, whereas the movies or horror movies of the past would be just an event that they would do the found footage kind of take that would use with maybe Cloverfield or Blair Witch Project or even Paranormal Activity. These are kids aiming to record this and throw it up in the ether of online, either Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever form of social media, because I need to have proof that this is happening. Even though technically I'm showing this on the phone and all it looks is like they're seizing up, they're having this experience that I want the whole world to see. And so it also did a really good job of telling that because they're Zennials, because they're teenager, because they don't want their parents finding out what they're doing because they get in a lot of trouble, they make a lot of mistakes along the way that, an adult may or may not make. But it's clarified, they qualify by saying, hey, they're kids. They're messing with something that they should have been messing with in the beginning. And now that there's a problem, they're scrambling trying to figure out what to do. What does that look like? Oh, and I think the main point also is the fact that for the character of Mia, there's a special reason why she is so hooked on doing the talk to me game with the mannequin. I don't want to give too much about that away, but once you see why she's so interested and fixated on this, it makes a lot more sense down the line when you see the decisions that she does make uh, once she's exposed to talking to the mannequin hand. All right. Now, as far as the pacing, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna give it 3 egos. It took about almost a solid 30 to maybe 40 minutes to establish the character of Mia, to introduce us to Mia's friends, to introduce the fact that they're actually out at a party playing this game called Talk to Me. It was a really, really slow ramp up to get there. Once we got there, hey, it moved along really nicely. It's just the fact that it took a solid 30 minutes to get us there, and then we have to be invested and keep going. So I really wouldn't suggest watching this movie if you're looking for like the jump scare thriller to do this at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. You may or may not doze off. Maybe midday matinee, maybe late afternoon, early evening. But yeah, as a late night horror movie, you might fall asleep before everything starts to pick up. So I mean, for that, I'll still give it 3 egos, just because the ending alone was good because it happened in real time, and the I will say the resolution to what the problem was very swift. And by the time you are realizing what's happening, movie is over. And the way in which they did it was good enough to warrant a sequel, not involving the direct characters, but possibly spinning off onto other characters or warranting it as a limited series, either on one of the major streaming networks. I think that as of today's posting of the video, they are currently working on the framework for a sequel, and I'm just as interested to see that as I was, I guess, the original Talk to Me movie. Next thing we're looking at for the ego statistics is the scare factor, and I will say that I will give that about I'll give it 4 egos actually. I like the fact that there wasn't any CGI that I could see. I know that there are people that are really more well versed in seeing the difference between practical effects and CGI, but for the most part, for me, it was mainly practical effects. A lot of makeup to show either a distressed face when they were playing the Talk to Me game, or when someone was injured. They did a great job of showing that. Even when they did the scares, there were the jump scares, but the image was still, and so it gave kind of an ominous look to it, and you had to actually see, okay, well, I was scared a little bit, but okay, well, what's going to happen next? And you're waiting for that next moment to happen, and so you don't get so bogged down in the jump scares, or oh my god, that thing was so scary, or oh my goodness, that thing moved on its own, to the point you're like, okay, well, hey, okay, it scared me. Okay, now what's going to happen? How does this move the story along to get us to, the dilemma or the resolution at this point? So I was really glad the fact that there was a lot more practical effects over CGI. I cannot wait for part two. Shiro loved it as well, and we cannot wait to see it. But guys, thank you so much again for all the subscribers, both the day ones and the recently added. I want to say thank you all equally. And again, this is Left Eye Ego, guys. But for now, Ego out.